This is my review of Aviary. I said Avid in my first try. It's not Avid. Aviary's music editing software or audio editing software, Myna. And these are the pros and cons of the software, and I will start with the pros because there are much less pros than there are cons. So basically, I didn't like this software. It starts off, one of the pros is it has multi-track. It starts you off with 10 tracks, which is really nice because I know in Audacity you have to go in and add tracks, and if you don't really know how that technology works, then that'd be kind of annoying. So that's kind of cool that it starts you off with a nice template of where you need to go. It kind of leads you in the right direction. The loops they supply you are nice. I mean, they all sound pretty good. They sound better than other loops I've heard on different software, which is kind of cool. And they have some sort of partnership with SoundCloud, which is, I'm not really sure fully how it works, but I mean, that would be nice if you needed to import yourself right to SoundCloud, or that was a website you already use. I know I use that website a lot, so that kind of caught my eye, and that was nice. And then that's about all the pros, really, honestly. We go to the cons. The con is basically everything else about the software I really didn't like. It just wasn't great. You couldn't do anything while the song was playing. If you wanted to turn down the volume on a certain track, if you wanted to pan it a certain way while the track was actually playing and hear how it sounded, it wouldn't let you. It would stop whenever you hit a slider or mess with something else. It would actually stop the track, which made it very annoying for mixing because you'd have to go back and listen again, and if it didn't sound right, you'd have to stop, change the volume. That got really annoying. And I don't know if this is just for Mac users, because I know I run a Mac, and when you do the two-finger swipe to kind of search around, like if you do on web pages or if you use Logic, which is normally what I run, you can't do that on this program. It won't do anything. You actually have to go in and physically click the slider, which I don't know. That's not a huge deal, but it kind of got on my nerves. One of the more major problems I found was you cannot change the tempo of any of the loops they give you, which made it kind of hard if you're using loops to fit multiple different loops together that aren't like the same folder, because say you had a loop that's like 120 BPM, you had to find out and use other loops that are 120, and you have to go searching through because there are a lot of loops they give you. And that got really annoying. And it also didn't show what key the loop was in. If it had any kind of melodic properties, you were kind of out of luck because chances are they wouldn't fit together. So you kind of had to use, you were kind of forced to use the loops that they put together. You kind of had to use those, and if you wanted to make anything that sounded okay. The whole beats function, which I thought at first was kind of cool because it's kind of like MIDI, and I'm a big fan of MIDI editing and all that fun stuff. It was kind of their take on MIDI, and you could go in and like plug in kind of like a piano roll, drums, and instruments, which were, I mean, they sounded decent for free software. But later I found that a big problem with that was you couldn't actually, once you made the beat, you couldn't throw it in as a MIDI file. It would convert it to an audio file, and you couldn't change it after that, which got annoying if you messed up or you wanted to change pitches or something. And that, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of a flawed feature. Plus, it took a really long time to change the beats files into audio files, and if you're doing a lot of that, it would get really time-consuming for not that much, which was very annoying. The effects were not good at all. They didn't have many of them, and the ones they did have didn't work very well, except for the flanger. Flanger sounded okay. But, I mean, the high pass and the low pass were both bad. The EQ was bad. And they didn't have a distortion, which I thought was more or less a common plugin, but apparently isn't, because they didn't have it. And my biggest issue with this software is the whole saving thing. I don't know if this was just me or if this was the program, but the first attempt I did to make a song didn't save at all. I couldn't find it, which was annoying. And I looked pretty thoroughly, so either I am stupid and couldn't find it, or it was just lost in the internet somewhere. Second time, I tried to do it with more beats. I tried to do actually the whole song I was doing, I used the beat function. And as I opened up the project the next time, the beats were completely different. I don't know what happened, but they were not the beats I made. And they said the file names were as I named them, as I threw them in, and they were completely different beats, which was kind of weird, but I don't know how that happened. And so I just ended up doing my entire project for the third time in like one big long marathon session, which I know some people wouldn't prefer to do it that way. So my overall impression of this software is negative. I really didn't like it. It really stifled my creativity. If I guess not, but it's not. I wouldn't recommend using it unless you really were strapped for cash and couldn't afford any software and you needed a free one. In which case, I guess you could use it. I don't know. I'd search around before using this one though. So I'd recommend it if you have never done something. I've never used an audio editing software. It would be an okay place to start. But if you have used any software before and are going to this, I wouldn't recommend it. It is not my favorite program to use.